This is the Charlie Kirk. I can't get it out of my mouth. Charlie Kirk Success Sequencing Act. This
Okay.
this just wait, Ellie. This bill requires schools to provide students information regarding the evidence-based findings of the success sequence, including the directive to marry before having children.
Shut up. Okay.
Welcome to Seriously, the podcast that dives into the baffling,
We can't send them to a prison where there's animals, where there's livestock.
the ridiculous,
Like omelet's better than sex.
and downright unbelievable political climate in red states like Louisiana.
So we can't go there. There's no vegan jail.
Seriously.
Welcome to Seriously. We're your host. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ellie.
And we are going to dive into some of the pre-filed bills for the Louisiana legislative session, which some of them are great, thanks to Lift Louisiana, and some of them are batshit crazy.
And we should also say, as we talked about last week, then we're going to have more to come on the bills that are being proposed this session.
There's a lot.
Both the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
We haven't had time to really analyze all of the bad anti-abortion bills and anti-reproductive rights bills yet. And then, just it always becomes more obvious over time, the other insane shit. So this is just like a taste.
But we're going to start with our Seriously
Yeah.
moments. So do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So mine is that Trump posted a picture of a U.S. hospital boat that he is sending to Greenland. And in the post, he wrote, quote, "Working with the fantastic governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, we are going to send a great hospital boat to Greenland to take care of the many people who are sick and not being taken care of there."
Well, I mean, Jeff Landry is the envoy to Greenland.
That's right.
It's
As
important
we've-
and very important job that
as
he
we've talked
has.
about.
Yes, and has all the qualifications for that job.
Ship
Mhm.
captain.
Yeah, yeah. From my understanding, it's not clear what boat they're sending.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Whether we even have this kind of boat. Like, people remember from COVID that there are some these types of vessels exist. Like, remember when there was the ship with all the COVID passengers off of Miami
Mhm.
that they couldn't let off the ship. Like, this does exist, but from what I've heard, then A, this may not really be happening. B, we don't really have this type of resource to be sending. And then obviously, as you're gonna, I'm sure, say, why would we be doing this in any world, regardless of all of that?
So hospital ships are a thing. They exist in the world.
Yeah.
In the military, there are naval hospital ships, etc.
Yeah. We only have a
deployed.
couple.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. So if our governor had access to one of these, one would think he would park that fucking ship in the Gulf of Mexico, because
Mhm.
there are many people here in Louisiana that are not being taken care of.
100%. I mean, just on maternity care alone, we have
Yes.
some of the biggest maternity care deserts in the country. And also, yeah, we're in the Deep South. It's a very sick state.
Yeah.
Which is going to get worse, of course, under the big, beautiful bill because of then cuts to Medicaid and rural hospitals here and everywhere are going to start closing. Our own legislature, actually sent all the fucking Republicans sent a letter to Congress when they were debating the big, beautiful bill about how those cuts to Medicaid were going to be very difficult for a state like Louisiana to absorb.
Devastating.
So, yeah, that's in process. I mean, that happened.
Well, I did a little research on where a hospital ship might be most useful, and turns out Louisiana is a prime target. This is according to America's Health Rankings. Louisiana is 50th in the nation in terms of overall health outcomes.
Wow. I mean, obviously we're always at the bottom of stuff, but I mean, that is a real accomplishment.
Yeah, 50th is not like we're the best. It's we're the worst.
Correct.
So frequent mental distress in Louisiana, almost 20% of Louisiana citizens
I have frequent mental distress.
experience frequent mental distress, probably mostly incited by our governor, the legislature, but
We're certainly not like helped by.
yeah, but that's so that puts us at a ranking of 48 for frequent mental health
Oh, wow.
distress.
Okay.
Over 11% of infants born in Louisiana are born with what's considered low birth weight. So that puts us 49th in the nation.
I mean, we're also very low/high, of course, on infant mortality
Correct.
and maternal mortality.
Yes.
Mhm.
We rank 41st in the nation on multiple chronic conditions.
All right, we're doing great on that.
Well, I mean,
Doing great.
Still-
41st.
still 14% of our citizens are experiencing multiple chronic conditions. Premature death in Louisiana, so dying before the age of, I think it's 75, but if anyone wants to comment, we would love to hear if I'm wrong on that. We are 48th in the nation, and that means that over 11,000 people per 100,000 people die before the ripe old age of 75 in Louisiana. And obviously, all of these statistics are general and significantly worse for people of color.
Yeah. Significantly worse for people of color and also in rural areas. So
Right.
those things overlap, but not always, right?
Yeah.
So, which I mean, people of color and people in rural areas in our state is like basically the whole population
Yes.
of Louisiana, I
Yeah.
mean, or it's the majority of the population, like either, because of like literal geographical access and, financial constraints, or because of systemic racism and financial constraints.
Or like,
are
chemical poisoning.
yeah, right. But I mean, those sort of overlapping, but definitely in many ways different groups, then are both for different reasons,
Mhm.
but heavily impacted by all of this.
Yeah.
There, in other words, there are millions of people in Louisiana who are facing huge obstacles just to like regularly being able to access healthcare in a cost-effective manner.
Yeah. And I didn't have time to do the research on sort of what the health outcomes situation is in Greenland, but considering that they are governed by a Scandinavian country, and the Scandinavian countries, by and large, have much better health
Yeah, there's no. I
outcomes.
mean, again, I also have not looked at the nuts and bolts of what's going on in Greenland. First of all, almost no one lives there, so there's not that many people who could be experiencing health problems to begin
True.
with. Second of all, yeah, it's a part of Denmark. Like they have free healthcare there. Like I have very little doubt that like there's no healthcare problem there. And I can tell you like from personal experience being so again, I lived in Latvia, which is it's a Nordic country.
Northern European. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the same sort of basic like culture and system. So like there's free healthcare. And like it was wild. It was crazy. Like so when I was like first there, then like to get the equivalent of my green card, then you had to go have like a lung screen is to make sure you don't have tuberculosis. So like, set up an appointment, go to like the public hospital. And the public hospital, granted, like it doesn't look like our hospitals do. It looks like an old school. Like it's like this old building. Like this seems like sort of decrepit. Like, but no, like everything is like running very smoothly. And I think the whole thing costs like $10. Like it was like basically nothing. Yeah, the whole thing.
I don't think there's
The whole thing.
like a copay in this country that's $10
No,
for
it was.
anything.
I mean, it was crazy. I was like, "Whoa, okay, like so that's it? Like that's the whole
Wow,
thing?"
yeah.
And like that country is not financially stable like the United States is. It hasn't been in existence as long as the United States is. Like it was really amazing, and it's much smaller. Like they can do it. Like they can do that just fine.
'Cause
So
they
like
care.
yeah, I mean, because it's a priority, right?
Yes.
It's a priority. And so there's zero doubt that Denmark, which is, much wealthier,
Mhm.
much longer established system,
Can
that they're doing
handle
this
the
great.
like
They're doing this
350 people that live in
Yes,
Greenland
yes.
and provide them adequate health care.
For free, I'm sure, or for almost no cost.
Correct.
Yeah.
Again, if Jeff Landry had access to a hospital boat.
Or fucking President Trump too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
let's
with Landry,
stick with Landry
yeah.
because, I
So
mean,
maybe he should stop being so much the envoy to Greenland and be the envoy to Louisiana.
just, turn that fucking ship around, sail it up through the Gulf of Mexico,
Right.
just push it up into the Mississippi River
That's
and
right.
park it on the banks of
Yeah.
the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
Where we could treat people that are in Cancer Alley.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would love to do, because you know that this was a dream of mine before Roe v. Wade was overturned, and then certainly afterwards, was I want a fucking ship in the Gulf of Mexico that provides abortions.
Yes, it's still a good idea.
Yes, absolutely. And, if we can't have it in state waters because Trump is a douchebag, whatever, like 5 miles off the coast, international waters, let's park that ship there and let's ferry or helicopter some people out. I mean, I have said multiple times to many people that I would be willing to get a helicopter license. And not only that, I would be willing to adorn myself in like a black patent leather one suit so that I looked like Trinity from the Matrix while flying the helicopter.
First of all, you would definitely do that. Second of all, then
100%.
you'll be the Christy Nome of
No.
offshore abortion.
Zero filler, guy.
Costumes. That's true.
Zero filler, and I
don't mean
actually
that.
love my dogs.
I just mean some costume
Yeah.
wearing. Anyway, that is totally unfair, and I get it, but it made me laugh. So along those lines of, things that might soon be necessary for workarounds to get access for care here and elsewhere, my seriously is that our governor, or not our governor, but I mean backed by our governor, our Attorney General, Liz Murrow.
Our next governor.
Don't even say that, but probably. I mean, Jeff Landry was never a lawyer, so Liz at least is a lawyer. I mean, he was never.
I'm sorry, he wasn't a lawyer?
I mean, he was, but he basically never practiced law.
Oh, okay.
Before he was the Attorney General, he had tried like 2 cases. But yeah, the seriously is that Liz, our Attorney General, is continuing on the campaign of trying to eliminate access to medication abortion for everyone in the country. So the background on that, people will sort of remember there was the case that was initially filed in Texas against the FDA in Judge Kaczmarek's district that was challenging basically the ability for doctors to send the medications through the mail
and do telemedicine.
Correct. Yeah. So to send medication abortion without an in-person appointment and through the mail, which was developed during COVID and then kept on after that. But it's important to also know, the research showed, and all sorts of physician advocacy groups had been saying for years that should be the protocol anyway. In terms of safety, there was no reason for needing an in-person appointment, that it could easily be done via telemedicine, and obviously then no reason that it couldn't be sent in the mail. So that is what is currently in place. That's why people in Louisiana are able to get the drugs from doctors in New York and doctors in California, even though it's illegal for them to send them here. It is not illegal in their states or under federal law to do so.
Correct.
So this is the weakness in the system that the Liz's of the world have been trying to exploit, is that if you can get rid of this, of the exceptions basically under federal law to make this legal, then it will obliterate access. So in Texas, then initially Kaczmarek, of course, agreed with that, put a nationwide injunction in place on mifepristone being sent through the mail. Then it went up through the courts. The Fifth Circuit agreed, of course, and then the Supreme Court stayed that, and then eventually overturned it on standing grounds, that those the fucking idiots that were basically just ideologue plaintiffs, that
the Alliance for hypocritical doctors, that brought the case. They didn't have standing.
It was I think
we talked about it.
We did, probably. So Liz and a resident of Louisiana who claims that she herself was harmed by the abortion pills being sent here, because she claims that her boyfriend made her take them. Then the two of them tried to intervene in that Texas suit, which was absolutely bizarre. So then Liz filed the same thing with the same woman in the Western District of Louisiana. So it's trying to accomplish the exact same goal as they were trying to do in Texas, but with different plaintiffs who also there's huge problems with whether they have standing.
Mhm.
But regardless of the merits of all of that, that's what they have filed, alleging the same sort of bullshit that we've talked about, that these drugs are unsafe, that people are being coerced, all the talking points, all the
Yep.
stuff that has been setting my hair on fire for months about what they're trying to do, the narrative they've been building. So this week, then there was that they moved for a preliminary injunction on that to again try to block the ability for the FDA to allow that. And there was a hearing on that this week. We don't have a decision, but the seriously is this is happening, folks.
Yes.
We don't know what the outcome is yet. They picked this jurisdiction for a reason. It's a conservative jurisdiction.
Trump appointed judge.
And the allegations have been ones that they have been, having this drumbeat narrative about this is a plan that they have coordinated and they are operationalizing, and it's just a matter of whether it works,
Yeah.
basically at this point.
So at the hearing, so it was both on the plaintiff side, the Louisiana side, was obviously our Solicitor General for the Attorney General's office, but also Josh Hawley's wife, who works for the Alliance Defending Freedom. So they were the ones who were arguing on that side. And they kept trying to bring up the Comstock Act. And the judge was like, we're not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I don't want to talk about that. Just shut it down completely. He also threw a bunch of cold water on their arguments that ending the telehealth provision would actually significantly dampen the demand or supply of mifepristone.
He's a conservative, but he's much more like a
Just a regular judge. It's like, I don't think this is going to do what you think it's going to do. So he raised the example, which we have raised here on our podcast too. Just look at the war on drugs.
It's of course a lot of their narrative on this. That's
Exactly.
great. That's great.
The direct quote from him is, the war on drugs has been going on for 50 years, and yet there was more cocaine produced last year than any other year. So he's kind of not buying it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So we'll see what he does on this preliminary injunction.
Last dumb shit, of course, being the State of the Union address, which I did not watch.
I can't do it.
Well, that's what I was saying to you. The seriously for me on that is that I did not watch it, and neither did my dad, and both of us were like, I have no intention to watch that. And historically, I've always watched the State of the Union, even when it was a president that I was hate watching it, with George W. Bush. I knew that he was gonna say stuff that was infuriating to me, that I thought was stupid, that was bad policy priorities, whatever. But it's an important speech. It's the president. I want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I knew that they would say something substantive too, right?
Yeah.
That whether I agree with it or not, whether it makes you mad, then there will be announcements about stuff. There was no part of me with this, none. And same with my dad, who he's probably watched every State of the Union. Now it's just not only is it going to be infuriating, it's also just going to be a bunch of fucking bullshit and propaganda and lies. It's not even the useful function of it is gone at this point.
Yes. Two things. One is he invited the men's hockey team. The U.S. men's hockey team are getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom, but not the women's hockey team, even though both of them won gold. It's just the misogyny is just so blatant and on display, and it's disgusting.
The best commentary I've heard about this speech is that it was basically like an award show rather than a State of the Union.
Yeah.
And now there's so-and-so getting this. Trump as the presenter of medals.
Yeah. It's look under your seat. You get a Medal of Freedom. You get a Medal of Freedom. Yeah, it's ridiculous. If the Democrats get back in power, they just should not even invite him for the next 3 years. Just don't even fucking invite him to do a State of the Union. Just submit something written. Because the Constitution just says that you just have to say what the State of the Union is. It doesn't say you have to be invited and then all the pomp and circumstance and all that bullshit. So that's one I think just or just be you can come, you have 15 minutes.
Yeah, that would be
That's
good.
it.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
I think he actually did himself no favors with this at all. I'm kind of like, now let's be like, come and talk all day. Come and take all the time you need on this day to, to say a bunch of incoherent,
Yeah.
like off point, delusional things that no one cares about, and then like say a bunch of very, very controversial, like angry things that
Yeah.
people are shocked by. Like, yeah, no, take all the time you need. Both no one will watch it, and the people who do will either be so on board that it doesn't matter. They're
Yeah.
like never going to be convinced, or will be shocked and horrified by like this guy's running things. People want to hear about what are you doing
Yeah.
about affordability,
That's true.
inflation, are we going to war with Iran? That he addressed none of those things.
Two people that did not watch it.
We know a lot about it because I've,
We
of course,
have a lot to say.
because of course I've heard, like, yeah, because I wouldn't watch it, but like I've listened and I was like, but I want to listen to all the commentary
All
about
the
it.
people talking shit.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so then I've heard like 50 million clips of it and lots of commentary, but none of it's surprising. This is why I didn't watch it. But yeah, I mean, I can't help myself that.
All right. This is our legislative preview. And again, we have a
A
lot
preview of the preview.
a lot more
This
that
is a
we're going to talk
preview
about
of
in the
the
coming
preview.
weeks, but do we want to start with the good or the bad?
They go.
Okay. All right. So there are 3 lovely bills that have been introduced to regulate the unlicensed pregnancy clinics.
Oh my goodness. I mean, those organizations don't need any regulating. Michelle, what do you mean?
I mean, they do.
Obviously, people know from our many podcasts on this and some that are a really deep dive, then these are the CPCs, crisis pregnancy centers or unlicensed pregnancy centers, whatever terminology you want to use. But the entities in our state that basically are, drawing people in under misleading premises
Mhm.
that they provide all counseling when they don't. They're religiously run anti-abortion centers, like explicitly, but they
Yes.
pretend they're not. And then they also pretend that they provide medical services, which they don't,
Mhm.
but they kind of do because they do ultrasounds, and they do make you believe that like you can get some level of like prenatal
Pregnancy
care. Yes.
counseling. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So they're both not providing medical services and fully providing medical services, and they're not regulated at all.
At all.
And they're getting a shit ton of money from the state and the federal government. And
Not as much from the federal government anymore, which is why there is an opportunity to regulate them more.
And I guess the last thing being that, with what these people or what those centers are doing is not that much.
Yeah.
They're not doing that much.
Correct.
They're getting a lot of money,
Yeah.
both from private sources and public sources, but it's really not transparent at all. There's very little transparency, and so therefore very little oversight with what they're actually using the money for.
Yes.
Or what services they're actually providing, or what outcomes they're actually achieving. But
And all of that was actually laid out very, very, very well in a legislative audit of the program through which they're
yes,
funded,
that's right.
which came out last year. So that audit is kind of the basis for a lot of the legislation that we're seeing.
Best case scenario, like they're basically doing like some ultrasounds, pregnancy testing, free diapers with a side of anti-abortion counseling, and that's it. And they're getting millions of dollars. And then even within that, how much of that they're even doing.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the first bill that I want to talk about was introduced by Representative Mandy Landry. So this is HB 931. Representative Landry was like, look, if the state is giving these entities money to help pregnant people with whatever they
That's the
need,
premise.
and that's what they're saying, like, we're helping all these pregnant people, then like there should not be conditions on what those pregnant people have to endure in order to receive those services.
Yeah. So that's like, so one of the other things that supposedly these centers do, and I guess do to some extent, is like various classes, like sort of like
Parenting
training. Yeah.
classes, abstinence only education classes.
But like stuff that's supposed to be sort of like pro family, whatever.
Right.
So, what those classes really are, in order to get the free diapers,
Yes.
then you have to go to XYZ class. And Michelle, what are most of those classes based on?
I mean, they're
Or
very like Christian.
they're explicitly like,
They're very Christian.
like you're making people basically like take Christian
They're
classes.
Christian parenting
They're Christian classes.
That is what they are.
Yes. And in order to like get your free diapers and free ultrasound,
You have to go to a Christian parenting class.
yes.
Yes. So Rep. Landry's bill would prohibit the state funds from contracting or subcontracting with any of these entities that are conditioning their services, like you have to attend these classes in order to receive those services.
So is it that you can't, it can't be, you have to attend these classes in general, or that they just can't
They
be,
can
they
still
can't be
provide.
Christian,
They can still provide
but
those.
they can't be religiously based.
They can provide religiously based classes and offer those to their
But you can't
clients.
require it.
But you
Yeah, yeah.
can't say
Yeah.
that you have to attend this in
Yeah.
order to receive those services. Those services have to be available to people even if they don't want to attend those classes.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, so is it just the ones that are religiously based, or
They're all religiously
yeah, that's
based.
true. I mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense. It's also they're only Christian religiously based. I mean, I know this is obviously
Yeah,
people,
it's not like
but
there's like Buddhists.
exactly, like we don't
unlicensed
offer like a
pregnancy.
what is your religion? We will, then provide like some sort of classes that are targeted to your beliefs.
Never in a million years. Yeah. Here, take this Sharia law class.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I
exactly.
mean, because it's also like an opportunity to just try to evangelize, period. So
It's 100% a recruitment tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next one is also by Rep. Landry. So this is HB 897. This one is based on something that we talked to Deborah Rosen about in a
Mhm.
previous episode, which we'll link in the show notes, but that these pregnancy centers are not obligated to protect patient privacy.
Right.
They're
Because HIPAA
not,
doesn't apply to
they're
them.
not HIPAA
Right.
regulated.
Because they're not providing medical services, although they are making it seem like they provide medical services.
There's nothing right now because they are not regulated. There's nothing right now to prevent them from essentially exporting their entire client database and just like handing it over to whoever the fuck they want to.
Well, and
Like
not
literally
right.
nothing.
And not just that, but also when like things like HIPAA don't apply, then you just don't need to have like the mechanisms and procedures in place to protect your data. So like
Right.
just that like it could be hacked, or that, your employees don't know that they shouldn't like leave things willy-nilly around. So even if it weren't, in other words like an intentional
Mhm.
like disclosure, they're not required nor incentivized to have procedures in place to protect patient information.
Correct. And like this particular piece of legislation comes out of like a real world situation in which Heartbeat International, which is a national
big-
umbrella
yeah.
organization that runs a lot of these pregnancy centers
And
in
that
the states.
funds them.
They're the ones that provide the client databases. So they were doing a training on the client database, which was a training module that was posted online and available to anybody who I think paid $15 for it or something. I mean, it was very publicly available. And in that video, they were showing how
Real
their
patient-
database works, and they showed literally like Louisiana, a Louisiana pregnancy center in New Iberia, the unexpected pregnancy center, if people want to go protest, their client data. And it was like 13,
People's real name.
13
People's
clients,
real name.
their last menstrual
Right,
period.
like these idiots like did not even have the wherewithal, in other words, to like just like put in,
Fake client.
like Jane 1.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And then use this like you just like on the slide.
Yeah.
Just put it out there on the slide, and you can show the rest of exactly how
100%.
it populates.
Create a client account
Just
to
change
do it.
Jane
Oh, no,
didn't
they
do it.
did not do that. And so I think this legislation is incredibly important. It would basically prohibit the state from granting to these these contractors, subcontractors, the UPCs that don't have these privacy protections in place, and then it outlines what those privacy protections need to be. They have to do like confidentiality agreements. There has to be a process that the client has to agree to for any of their information to be disclosed to a third party.
So basically mirroring what HIPAA requires.
It is yes,
Yeah.
it's 100%
Yeah.
that.
So which again, we've talked about this some, but I think it's important for people to know that like, while we bitch about, because it's true, that these entities are not medical, but when you go there as a patient, you feel like a patient.
Yeah.
And it
They
feels
give you
like a health center.
they give you a form and they ask you to fill out a medical history in a lot of
Yes.
circumstances.
And then they give you a fucking a vaginal
people are wearing
ultrasound.
scrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like you feel like you're in any other doctor's office where like
your assumption is that the information that you put on that form is protected.
Yes. And like, doctors like they do have to disclose HIPAA stuff to you, but like it's so it's just like you would never even notice it, but when you're in that environment that like this is a medical environment, my information will be protected. I have recourse if it's not. They have a sense of it, right?
Yes.
Like I have to consent if they're going to send it to somebody else.
Yes.
So that's what people feel like is happening when they're there.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Little bit beyond HIPAA, because with HIPAA, so I mean, when you go to the doctor's office, most people they're like, okay, like sign your consent, sign
Yes.
your privacy thing,
Yes,
and
you're
you're
not
not
paying
reading
attention.
the
You're
whole
not.
thing. You're not.
That's
You're not.
100%
You're not.
true.
But if something happens, because they're HIPAA compliant, there is a process for you.
Yes.
There is no process here because these are
No,
not.
'cause
So this
yeah.
bill outlines like further steps where they have to present in writing and like tell the client, we are releasing your information in this way. So for example, they do have to release aggregate data to the
Yes.
Department of Children
That's
and Family
fine. And that's fine
Services.
under HIPAA too.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
because there's no complaint process here
Well,
as
there's no
opposed to
obligation either.
Exactly.
Both.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's creating the obligation and the disclosure.
Yes.
People are assuming that the obligation exists.
Yeah.
Because it feels like an environment where it would, even if you just have sort of a general sense of what that obligation is. So this would be creating the obligation and the same sort of disclosure requirements, but the mechanism for doing them more specific to this. But
Correct.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, again, people think that they have those rights already.
Yeah.
They don't.
And there is an enforcement action in this. If there is a violation of someone's privacy, then that particular, UPC clinic, whatever, they could have their contract revoked. They could be ineligible for a contract, termination, etc.
I love it. Yeah, like setting up a similar sort of mechanism for what people think intuitively they already have the right to do.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah, love it.
So those first two bills are in the universe that we exist in now. Some things that we can do to provide a little bit more oversight and protection for our patients.
Yeah.
This next one is like, let's just change the fucking universe, which I really love. So this is Representative Amy Freeman. This is HB 611, and this just requires them to be licensed by the Louisiana Department of Health.
Well, whatever, like, why is that so, like, such a newsflash?
Exactly.
I mean, like, whatever,
So it's limited to those that are providing healthcare services, which are defined as ultrasounds, pregnancy testing, and pregnancy consultations. So if they're doing that, then they need to be licensed.
Yes.
So in reality, if there are entities that like, well, we can't do that, but we still like, you could be a Christian, like,
of course, you can be a different type of
donation center, and you want to still give out your diapers
Yes.
and offer your, ridiculous Christian parenting classes. Like, you can do that, or you can continue to do the ultrasounds and the pregnancy consultations and all that.
There is no other world in which I am aware of any sort of medical services like that, like vaginal ultrasounds that are allowed to be provided in a setting that neither requires licensed medical professionals to be overseeing it and performing those operations, or licensing as like a separate clinical entity. Like,
Correct.
there's none of that. Like, it would be basically like me just like being like, I'm gonna start doing ultrasounds out of my house.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing
There's nothing
ultrasounds
to
here.
stop you from doing that.
I mean,
Honestly.
which I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, based on, but that is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like that, like I could just like myself
Mhm.
learn how to do ultrasounds, or myself who is not a doctor, like hire somebody who has worked at a medical clinic and knows how to do ultrasounds, but is not a doctor or a nurse. And we're just gonna start doing ultrasounds here, and I'm gonna call this like Ellie Schilling's pregnancy house.
Yeah.
We do ultrasounds. I mean, like that, like, and then of course, like, it's not just that like an ultrasound is medical. Like, people are getting a lot of information about that.
Yeah.
Like how far along are you?
Mhm.
Like, should you, not just for abortion purposes, but like for prenatal care purposes. Like, people need to be able to read that ultrasound.
Yes.
Need to be able to understand how to communicate that to the person, like
Yeah.
what this means. Like, that's a big thing in a pregnancy, getting an ultrasound. The fact that there is no licensing requirements
Mhm.
or any requirements really for who can be doing that
Yeah.
is insanity. This should not be controversial. I mean, the parameters of like how folks want to, make this work. This
Mhm.
makes sense to me. That, LDH licensing the clinics, the abortion clinics were all licensed
Mhm.
by LDH. That makes sense.
Mhm.
But like the fact that there is literally no oversight
None.
or requirements in terms of like what medical qualifications or personnel you need to be providing this care.
Mhm.
This is care.
Yeah.
Is insanity.
They are training their network of
Mhm.
providers that we're in a tricky situation with the ultrasounds now. Like, we wanted everybody to do the ultrasounds because we wanted to lure people in who are quote unquote abortion minded.
Right.
We wanted them to come get an ultrasound so we could like print up a little thing that
Right.
says like, "Hi, mom," and then they would
Right.
feel guilty and
Right.
not go get an abortion. But now that we're doing the ultrasounds and all these people are like pregnant, they don't know where to go. They're in maternity care deserts,
Right.
but they know that there's this like
Free
pregnancy
place. Yeah, yeah,
resource
yeah.
center,
Right.
and so they go and they get their ultrasound. If like they see something on the ultrasound that is like iffy, they're under no obligation whatsoever to like refer that person immediately to an actual medical provider that can help. Like, there may be an ectopic pregnancy that's
Right.
not like identified, diagnosed, referred out.
If
This
the
could it's
centers were
delayed
well,
care.
if the centers were regulated, then you could have regulations like that. That
Mhm.
otherwise, like as a lawyer or a doctor, like if I am not practicing at the standard of care, there's recourse for my clients,
Mhm.
to go to the state and tell them that.
Yeah.
Like, same with doctors, so that then something can be done against that person's license.
That's right.
If you're not required to have licensed personnel and you're not required to be licensed as an organization, yeah, again, I'll just start running it
Okay,
out of my house and
yeah.
just do it. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Who cares? And like the truth of this is like, there's going to be a wide range of practices. Like,
Yeah.
some of them are going to be doing like I mean, they're all ideologically based,
Yeah.
but some of them are going to be doing a fine job in terms
Sure.
of like having, qualified people that are doing this.
And they will get their license. And
Yeah,
they will
exactly.
continue doing their
And exactly.
yes.
And so, but this should not be controversial.
Yeah.
Like, it's like either the entities that are already doing this correctly, why would they be worried about this?
Mhm.
And the entities that are not, then like the right to life should be concerned about that.
Yes.
And should not have any qualms about trying to bring those folks up to the standard of care.
As it was with the abortion clinics.
Correct. Correct.
The next thing that we are going to talk about is the MAGA agenda that we are
Oh, good.
seeing play
Mhm.
out in the legislature
Mhm.
this year.
It does have different parameters every year. It is always sort of like it has like a He does have sort of
It's an
an
amorphous.
yes, like, but an amorphous person. It was like very DEI
Mhm.
last year. Yeah. So what's
year?
on MAGA's mind this year,
This
Michelle?
year it is a direct response to what is happening in Minnesota.
Good. All right. I bet that's helpful.
Okay, so we have two different sections. So we're going to start with bills related to disrupting religious worship
Okay.
because
Oh, because of the one thing.
the one thing that happened.
Of course.
Okay. I mean, these are
But a
obvious
bunch of people were like, yeah,
up
yeah,
in arms.
yeah.
These are mostly redundant, obviously, with
Yes.
existing, like, kind of disturbing the peace authority and various other criminal laws. But they are important because they really could chill protected speech and or protest, right?
Because I'm sure they're written in a really like targeted way.
All right. I'm going to go through them with you because there's a lot. So we're going to kind of go from, and you may disagree with this, but this is how I've kind of organized them. Like, I don't know if it's like the least to worst, but
yeah.
something to worst.
More
Correct.
correct. Is
Okay.
probably how.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
say.
All right. So the first one is House Bill 294. This is Gabe Ferment.
Yeah.
Gabe is an asshole.
He's not. Yeah. He's. Yep.
We're not editing that out. He's an asshole. He's one of these like anti-trans people.
And like anti-healthcare
Anti,
people.
he's an anti.
Yeah.
Just an anti everything. This bill allows the removal and potential force against someone who is, quote, engaged in substantial disruption of some sort of religious service, which is defined like engaged in substantial disruption is defined very broadly. Okay. So this would not only allow anyone in the church to request that someone leave if they were disruptful, it would allow them to employ force.
So, and then what? They're immune from civil and criminal liability for
Okay.
doing so.
So it creates a broad tort immunity and an affirmative defense, but also mandates a pretrial immunity hearing for someone that obviously like would just maybe shut down claims early because it only requires a preponderance of evidence for immunity from this kind of civil liability. If someone was like,
hi, you tackled me, beat the shit out of me, and maybe killed me, or killed my,
I mean, if they were killed,
father.
there may be other
Well, you would have
statutes involved, but okay,
not
tackled me,
civilly,
dragged
but
me
civilly,
out.
it would anyway. That it would be then your family members that had the claim, but yeah.
So that's and this is the least.
Yeah.
So it only gets
I'm
worse
sure.
from here.
I'm
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Still,
Which again, with all these
so
fucking
it's
idiots. I
insane.
mean, this will be as we'll get into this, but like, it's like
Don't
they
blow your
just
load
have
right
them-
now, Ellie.
No, I'm just saying that like the drafting of these things is always what just amazes me. You're like, okay, I get what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I get it. And maybe there's a problem to be solved. Maybe there's not. Maybe we agree about that or not. But like you're going about this in like the most maximalist way. That, like, just is
you
like
haven't seen that half.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Carry on. Yeah.
House Bill 68, Lori Schlegel, which she seems kind of level-headed on some issues related to like incarceration, reentry, like how people who are incarcerated are treated. However, her bill adds disrupting any worship service or religious ceremony at a church or other place of worship to the disturbing the peace statute. Disturbing the peace statute already is 6 months, $500 fine, just to be clear.
And maybe that's because disturbing the peace has to be otherwise in public.
Her bill goes further in that it requires 15 days to be served without benefit of probation or suspension of sentence. So like,
you just have to go to jail for 15 days.
Yes.
Because like you disturbed the peace, which I mean, I was disturbing the peace is a pretty
you
low
could
standard.
you could go to jail for up to 6 months, but at the very least you're going for 15 days. So that's insane. Okay. Glorioso.
Another person who like in the scheme of MAGA is more on the reasonable side.
Not this session.
Well, I mean, in the scheme of them.
I don't know what he's running for, but he's got 3. We've got 3 Glorioso ones. So listeners may remember last year, he actually was pretty good
He
on the
did.
civil liability
He's a
bill.
lawyer, and he went to the floor. I mean, he was not great in the hearing, like the committee hearing, when I thought
No,
that he,
it was not.
yeah,
But
when Ventrella was sitting next to him, like whispering to him. But yeah,
maybe he
but
was
he went to
taken
the floor.
with
Well, I think he was
her
believing her.
beauty,
I think he was believing her that she was going to work on it,
maybe.
which she, they
Or he
did
was
not.
taken with her beauty and
Maybe her
fillers.
redneck beauty,
Her
her
mar
redneck. She's a redneck, and
her
who's more
yeah.
redneck?
The
She's more redneck than most people.
we're
We don't even need to
yeah.
compare her. And also white trash. That's
Okay.
no, does it?
All right. Glorioso. So this is the first of three. I have three of his. Okay. HB 60. So this creates a new felony tier of disturbing the peace with extreme penalties if you are causing a substantial disturbance. The through line with all of these is that none of these are defined. Like
Right, of course.
none of
Yeah,
this
well,
is,
that's which
yeah,
again, that's what I meant when I
it's
was
all
saying
vague.
that's what I meant with the maximal is that like the
Void for
identifying
vagueness.
example. I mean, they're yeah, maybe, but like when this is what I meant with the maximalist. Like maybe there's a problem, maybe there's not, but these people go all in
Mhm.
with like you know eh, terminology that is like undefined and like any human would be like, I don't know. I mean, that seems like it could encompass a lot of things,
Mhm.
but then like the remedies and penalties are like over the top.
The felony disturbing the peace would be 5 years in prison, $5,000 fine, and up to 10 years or a $10,000 fine if a dangerous weapon is used or serious
So
bodily injury.
let's just take a beat to say that what they're responding to here, yes, is a group of protesters
Mhm.
with Don Lemon as a reporter went into a church because the leader of that church is in bed with ICE, whatever the reasoning. They went into the church in service and they disrupted it. And that is the whole thing that happened. That is it.
And
One service, no violence, no anything. Like it was filmed and one service was disrupted, and that is all that
and now
happened.
Louisiana has 5+ pieces of legislation
Right.
to respond to something that
And
happened in
all
Minnesota.
of those people got arrested, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
But like,
But their
again,
penalties were not harsh enough.
yeah, I mean, but
Really?
again, like
It wasn't a fucking felony.
the worst case scenario of what we're trying to solve is that one church service,
Mhm.
and I mean, could that happen again? Sure, it could happen again. I mean, or I don't think that was necessarily a good idea
No, it
that
wasn't.
people
I
went
would not
into
have advised
yeah,
that.
I agree with that. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think it was a good idea, or and maybe there should be some repercussions, but like
But it's
we do not.
disturbing the peace
It's
and it's
not.
already illegal.
Yes, and also it's not a big problem. This
Not.
is how these folks
Yeah.
are.
Right.
Like
Well,
one church service got disrupted.
that's 100%. So,
No violence, no damage, no anything. Just that.
and
It
more
got
than
interrupted.
1,000 miles
Right.
distance, we're wasting time on 5+ bills. Okay.
This is interesting. I would not have expected
Oh,
this.
I
I
know.
mean,
I did
it's
putting this
not.
together, so I was like,
I
oh,
mean,
this
it's
is
not
stupid.
surprising,
This
but it
is
is unexpected that this would have
this is
captured the
this
imagination
is the
in
most
such a way.
seriously bullshit ever. All right, well, let's just get back to Gloriosa because as a lawyer, his bill also strikes the provision stating nothing in the paragraph or this section or whatever prohibits constitutionally protected activity, including peaceful expressive activity. So he's just getting rid of that. We're just going to strike that. So,
From the disrupting the peace.
yeah,
I'll have to look at that. So like just generally speaking?
the bill strikes this provision, like from the disturbing this peace statute.
Wow. Okay.
So that's kind of a big deal.
That seems like a big deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Because again, it sounds like that's without like not limited to this, church space.
Correct.
Hmm.
This also punishes anyone who commits or conspires with another to commit this new crime.
That's the
Uh,
John Lemon part. Yeah,
yeah.
they think that he conspired with
Mhm.
them. Yeah.
Conspired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So you also could have spent 5 years in jail if like I was just like on the phone with you
Mhm.
being like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Like, yeah, I've got some folks I can send. But
This
like
is
that, yeah.
happening. This protest is happening. Like,
Right. Conspiring
get
can
some
be very
footage
rough.
of it. That's conspiring. Anyway.
Well, I mean, with John Lemon, that's not going to stick. I mean, but like, because it's absurd. But even if there were real, like, there's no evidence that he was conspiring at all. He's just covering it.
Right.
But like, even if you were actually conspiring, being like, yes, like, sure, I've got some people I know. Let's send those people. Like, then also that's 5 years in jail. Let's hope it's a
Russia,
good church service.
Russia, if you're listening,
That's right.
find the emails. Okay.
Carry on with yeah.
Senate Bill 306, Rick Edmonds.
Another favorite of the podcast.
This bill criminalizes engaging in disruptive activity, which includes harassment, unauthorized protest, and other conduct that materially interferes with a scheduled religious service.
Okay.
None of those terms are
Right.
defined. It makes it a crime also to knowingly finance, fund, or provide material support to a person who is engaging in or attempting disruptive.
Back to the theory that like Antifa is everywhere and George Soros is funding it.
Yes. So this is the next in the phase in that the penalty structure is more severe. A first offense can carry 6 months, a $10,000 fine. Second offense mandates 1 to 18 months with or without hard labor and up to $25,000 fine. And if bodily injury results, then you can get up to 10 years. Let's just go back to this. This is harassment, unauthorized protest, or other conduct that materially interferes with the scheduled service. You could go to jail
And
for 18 months.
And it's really the last part, the unauthorized conduct. That's where, to me, it goes off the rails. Because like, or just it could, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because the unauthorized, that's going to be like, do you have a permit? Like, at least he has it that it has to be unauthorized, right? It's like, if you have a permit and you're outside picketing the church or whatever, then that is authorized. But yeah, the rest of it is like what does that mean? I mean, let's be honest. Again, like, this is for the most part, though, what they're always doing, where it's solving a problem that doesn't exist. Again, as we've established, this has happened one time that, like, at least it was noteworthy at all with a church. So one time. I'm imagining with like this language, like all kinds of things that could fall into it, so that then like it's just a weapon that the government can utilize. The conduct, for example, the unauthorized protest versus the next part, that's the conduct that's like otherwise impeding or whatever it is. Like, actually, if you had a lot of protesters outside that made it difficult for people to get into
We'll get there.
their religious institution,
That's the next one.
that could be right. I mean, so like it just it's always a bad idea to have things that like could be interpreted in a way that, whether it was intended or not, like to just be really overly broad. But why are we doing this anyway? There's basically no problem to solve. These are the types of MAGA bills that are the opposite, as you said before. These are the ones that don't come out of the long strategic process of the
this is just a bunch of
incremental steps.
dumbasses. Yeah.
This is when it's like an overreaction to something that they think that they can get some like splash about, some like, media about, but that like the actual implications or enforcement of it could be very bad for them, could be just unforeseen and bad for everybody, or just in whatever way not make any sense. Yeah.
Well, having done a deep dive on this, obviously, as a representative of the organization which I run, Lift Louisiana, we have no purview here necessarily. However, I've already started drafting my testimony against these bills as a citizen, as someone who like once a year attends worship services.
Yeah, but like things,
come on.
but like religious issues are in your personal wheelhouse.
Yes.
Like it's like things that the government is
in my
doing
personal wheelhouse
that is related
to
to.
It infuriates me.
Well, yeah,
I do not like us like weaponizing religion against our other constitutional rights, and that's exactly what this is.
It is. Yeah. That's 100%. Yeah.
Senate Bill 35. This is William Wheat. Okay, so I'm calling this the buffer zone bill. This bans petition, picket, demonstration, protest, or assembly within 50 feet of a place of worship if the conduct, quote, disrupts, threatens to disrupt, intimidates, harasses, or interferes with someone's religious
That's probably a
exercise.
void for vagueness bill right
And
there.
100%, none of these terms are defined. Yeah, exactly.
Like that one's gonna be like
It does not require
particularly if it's a
noise.
criminal bill.
It
Like
doesn't
if it has criminal
require
penalties.
noise, obstruction, or violence, just interference.
Criminal penalties?
15 days imprisonment, and also this without the benefit of probation or suspension of
That
sentence.
I mean, whether if that bill passes and whether anyone would bother to want to challenge it, I don't know. I
Yeah.
think there's huge constitutional problems with that on its face because it's very difficult to determine what that means, what it is that you can
I
and
mean,
cannot do.
if this passed in relation to abortion clinics, we could have fucking thrown all those assholes in jail for 15 days.
Yes, and also, what does it mean? Like, how
Mhm.
do you know when you're the whole basis of like overbreadth and vagueness is that it's unconstitutional if you don't know what it is that you are and are not allowed to do,
Mhm.
and there are particularly if there are criminal penalties.
I mean, you could just be some punk rockers with spiky
Yes,
hair, like 3 of
yes,
you standing outside a church, and they could be
yes,
like, "I'm intimidated.
yeah, exactly.
I'm
So,
intimidated." And
um,
you're assembled, and I'm intimidated
yeah,
because I'm an
uh,
asshole. Okay, so those are the religious ones, and then there are a couple others that I'm gonna talk about. These There's 2 Glorioso ones, so we'll go through those first. House Bill 144. This creates a new crime of obstruction of a legislative proceeding.
Okay.
This also is overly broad and vague. It criminalizes behavior that impedes the due and proper operation of a legislative proceeding or legislative inquiry investigation.
Okay.
The use
That seems
or
fine. I mean, other than that, like it's creating a what
It's
is
a
his point?
crime.
I know, but I mean, what is he getting at here? I mean, like this is like, their folks, Jan 6, their folks did that. Like what is I'm not following what the point of this is.
Well, this is also like this is another one where we're creating a new crime where there's
Right.
already kind of criminal offenses
Yes.
that exist in law that may apply. But the one thing that I will say about this that is unique and you will love is there's a forum shopping element to this one. So this bill allows prosecution in East Baton Rouge Parish regardless of where the conduct occurred. So if you were a legislator at an event in your own parish and something was disruptive, you could.
That's okay. And that's probably what this is about.
Mhm.
It's about people disrupting town halls.
House Bill 132. This is also Glorioso. His name is like perfect for this. Like
It does sound very
it's
Christian.
like glorious. So this is around battery of a police officer. Mind you, I will do some research to confirm, but I'll just, as Jennifer Welch does on I've Had It, I will just state that it is very likely that Glorioso either supported what happened on January 6th or had nothing bad to say about it.
I think he ran as on the MAGA right of Representative Dubuisson, so I think that is fair to assume.
I'm just putting that out there ahead of what I'm about to tell you, which is this bill makes it a form of battery on a police officer to intentionally aim loud sounds
Oh my God.
at an officer's ear or head at a very close range.
This is going to be like, what their side has heard about what the protesters are doing in Minnesota. That's stuff to annoy ICE, basically.
Yeah, they're blowing the whistle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. With the whistles, the purpose is not to annoy us. There's a different purpose.
Yes.
There's other things that are sort of,
But it is
that
annoying
they're
nice.
correct, and other things that I think are kind of for the purpose of annoying
Yes.
nice. But like either way, it's the public street. You're allowed to do whatever that annoys other people, including law enforcement.
I really want you to read this though, because I don't think that there's anything that limits a police officer from just being annoyed that Black people are playing their instruments on the street in New Orleans, and it annoys a police officer, and he could arrest them and charge them with this crime. I mean, intentionality, that's something for the courts to determine, right?
You're intentionally playing the music. It's what is the intentional?
Intentionally aim loud sound
Well, no,
at
but
an
yes.
officer.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, intentionally aiming it, I mean, that's just where my speakers be going.
I mean, the basic gist of this is that this criminalizes group protest, right? And it also increases penalties if, again, they're all about these like conspiracy things. So the penalties are increased if two or more people are acting together.
Mhm.
So if you're like, you and your friend have a symbol
Right?
and you're striking, it also requires a minimum amount of jail time without parole, probation, suspension.
Well, this is just all making me realize that we're going to hear a lot about what's been going on in Minnesota
Mhm.
from their perspective,
Yeah.
which is like how hard it's been
Mhm.
for ICE.
Poor ICE.
How hard it has been. And also for this one church service, this is going to be taking up
Mhm.
oxygen, which like is great for their grandstanding, like not really relevant to anybody's problems at all. This is just when I'm just always amazed. Like, so these motherfuckers, they can file an unlimited number of bills
Except
this year, right?
like
So yeah,
these are going to be highly opposed. So Glorioso has decided I'm going to file
yeah,
3 of these. I'm going to spend
yes.
an
No, they.
inordinate
That's what I
amount of
mean.
time
This is
like
no, they're
defending
this. Yeah, no,
these bills.
yes, this is definitely proof that like a lot, like you're saying, a lot of time this session will be spent on
It's
this. Will be
ridiculous.
spent on
It's
this.
ridiculous. All right.
Whatever stupid fucking idea you
Mhm.
have, you can file a bill on.
Yeah.
So that's what this is. And then inevitably, a lot of them will decide to prioritize and move forward these stupid ideas. And whether they get
Yeah.
anywhere or not, they will take up a lot of space. And like, yes, what is this really trying to solve?
We want to hear in the comments from people of the 3 Glorioso bills: the battery of the police officer, the obstruction of legislative proceedings, and the felony disturbing the peace bills. Which one of those do you think that Glorioso is likely to spend the most time on? Tell us in the comments. I'm very curious to hear what people think. House Bill 378, Mike Bam. This bill increases penalties for blocking a public road. This is a Renee Good bill.
Hmm.
Blocking a public road or passage with the motor vehicle when you do it on purpose to interfere with one, a first responder while they're on duty, or a law enforcement officer who is pursuing someone or making an arrest.
Okay.
Okay. These new penalties, there's like enhanced penalties, not on
Right.
the first responders, just on the law
Yeah.
enforcement officers. And they hinge on whether the person used the motorized vehicle with the intent to hinder, delay, hamper, or obstruct or impede a first responder or officer.
So this
Yeah.
is just again where it's like
Mhm.
there's already there's already mechanisms in place
Yes.
like to deal with these situations, but trying to increase the penalties because again, as we've seen in Minnesota, these have been tactics that have been used
Yes.
for protests.
So, yeah, there's already existing law that deals with this. They're adding on enhanced penalties, but only for obstructing police. So, this is treated more severely than obstructing fire or
Right.
EMS.
Well, it
Like,
would be very bad. I
has
mean, like, yeah, you
potentially
should
more of a
certainly not
life
do
and death
that. Yeah.
situation.
I guess they're assuming that people aren't really doing that.
Okay.
But yeah.
So those are that's the list that I have so far. But I
It's
have 2 more on a different
I'm
topic.
just glad to know, it's a matter of framing
Mhm.
that, like, yeah, which it just hadn't occurred to me, but it is super obvious, or should have been very predictable that we're going to be legislating in response to Minnesota
We do this
from a
all the
MAGA
time.
perspective. That will be one of the pet projects of
Yeah.
and also then, of course, to not only waste a bunch of time and energy during this session, but
Mhm.
realistically then to pass laws that are basically never used and have almost no useful value. Mostly just that it's just random shit that is like totally useless on the books,
Yes.
basically. Yeah.
Okay, there's 2 more in the kind of MAGA category that are like Charlie Kirk obsession bills.
Okay.
So one of them is Danny McCormick, who actually has a decent
He
resolution that
does
we'll talk about.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about next week. But this one, it's House Bill 11. So this is
One of the
one of the
first
first
filed.
things
He'd
that
been
he filed.
thinking about it. Yeah.
It
Get
may have
around
been the
it.
first thing he filed. Designating October 14th as a day of remembrance for Charlie Kirk. Okay, fine.
Yeah, who cares?
Okay.
That's fine.
But
Yeah.
why are we doing that in
I mean,
Louisiana?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
yeah.
my question. That's it. All right. I'm going to say nothing else about that. The second one is, again, Rick Edmonds, Senate Bill 269, which I kind of love. Okay. This is the Charlie Kirk. I can't get it out of my mouth. Charlie Kirk Success Sequencing Act.
Okay.
This, just wait, Ellie. This bill requires schools to provide students information regarding the evidence-based findings of the success sequence, including the directive to marry before having children.
Shut up. Okay. The success sequence. Okay. All right.
The
Does it
legislative,
say to graduate before you do either of those things?
it does say that you should graduate, and it
Okay.
does say that you should find a job.
Okay, all right.
But it also repeatedly states that the purpose of this is to stop. It's like, it's so fucking
Did
offensive.
Charlie Kirk have anything to do? Was this one of their jams? Is this one of their
No,
jams that
there's
like they
no-
were?
There's no explanation as to why his name is on it. So I think Edmund just like, let's just
Yeah,
put
yeah,
Charlie
yeah.
Kirk on this.
There's probably some like turning point. I mean, maybe this is again me. I'm always trying to find the logic in their insanity.
So the legislative findings repeatedly state the purpose is to, this is so fucking offensive, stop students from repeating patterns proven to increase rates of poverty. It also contrasts outcomes for children in two-parent homes versus single-parent homes, and it links non-married parenting to poverty and the risk of incarceration.
I mean, knowing Rick Edmonds as we do. The other thing about this, of course, is that in his mind, who he's talking about is black people,
Mhm.
like 100%. Who he's not thinking about, who he should be, is rural white people. That is like all of those things
He
are like
represents
blatant in
white
that.
people.
But I'm telling you, you know him. He's not thinking about that. He's thinking about black people. That it's black people having children and not getting married first. Like,
They're
like
criminals.
yes. Yeah. It's leading to
And
poverty, it's leading to incarceration. And, all of that, yes, not only being offensive, but knowing it's from him, it's also just this blind spot of like
Mhm.
what is actually happening in white rural America, which again, in both situations that like folks need help. They don't need some fucking directive that what schools are going to tell them. You know what you should do? You should get married before you have kids. You know what you should do? You should graduate from school before you have kids. Like, if I were one of those people, I'd be like, you know what you should do? Maybe give me a little some fucking help.
yeah,
Maybe a little some fucking health care. Maybe a little some fucking like, actual like good education. Like,
well, that's
like just
that's
like
helpful,
some resources.
because
Some
I
resources.
think that what I would say, you know what you should do? You should go fuck
I agree
yourself.
with that as well.
I swear to God, if any teacher ever in my child's life went to her and was like, I think that it's really important for you to marry before having children.
I had not really thought about it. As a parent, it is absolutely not the place of a school to be if it's stuff about graduation and whatever, but it is 100%
require schools to provide students.
Yeah, you don't get to tell my child about values based like religiously sexually loaded family planning as like a part of just like graduating from high school.
I am 100% going to testify against this bill, like on in my personal capacity.
That's his favorite part. That's what he
Yes,
thinks
that's
is
what
the
he,
most
yeah, it's the
important
most
part of
important.
this
Mhm.
is the getting married before you have children part. That's also the least likely to actually pass.
So this is just a moose
It's a
boosh.
snippet.
We have lots of other dumb shit and also some good shit that we can talk about in the coming weeks. So let's wrap it up. Ellie, what are the people supposed to do?
People, do what you're supposed to do. Rate, review, and subscribe. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and
And
a
the
bunch of
others.
other shit that I don't know what it
And
is.
the others.
Yeah, send us comments, send us suggestions for who's more redneck as we get into the session. What else? That sort of stuff. Rate, review, and subscribe.
Yes.
The subscribing part. You know, I do. Which, by the way, I do this very short thing on this, and all the fucking podcasts I listen to, which I love, they spend like 50 hours telling people how they need to subscribe and how important it is. So do it, people. We spend like 1 second me telling you guys this. It's important. It's actually important. So do it.
You heard it. All right. We'll be back next
She
week.
means it. Yeah.
Yeah, she means it.
Yeah.
We mean it.
Do it.
We'll be back next week where Ellie will yell at you about something
Yeah,
different.
that's right. Probably.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Seriously is presented by Lift Louisiana, a nonprofit organization advocating for reproductive health rights and justice.